People have been asking me to make this video for ages. I've been reviewing robot combat stuff for a while. I've been making videos getting hyped about the latest robots to enter in the likes of Robot Wars and Battlebots. And throughout that time, there's always been the occasional comment asking me what my favourite robots are. And, well, I decided to take the time to try and think about what those robots might be. Now, a few things I need to say. This is not like the best robots of all time, never going to change this list ever. I guarantee you there'll be new robots that come out that I will adore. Not only that, but I guarantee you the moment this video goes out, someone's going to comment something and make me go, oh god, how did I forget to add that robot to my list? Thirdly, I rewatch old Robot Combat all the time. There's a chance that even an old robot will catch my attention and I'll go, dang, I wish that was on my list. So maybe in like a year or two, I will update this list if I find that I actually like a whole new set of robots. We'll have to wait and see. But for here and now, I feel reasonably confident in the list of robots that I've chosen here today. These are the robots from Robot Combat's past and present that if I saw these all battling together in one giant competition, I would be extremely happy to witness. And given that April 11th is my birthday, I thought I would finally oblige all those requests. These are my top 10 favourite robots. Well, 10 plus, you'll see. Now, number 10 is Claw Viper. Now, this is definitely a bit more of a recency bias one, but Claw Viper's performance in the latest season of Battlebots truly had me excited. I love alternate designs, and Grabber and Lifter designs are ones that, when they work so damn well. And Claw Viper seems to have really come across a killer strategy. Incredibly fast, pretty tough as well. Claw Viper rushes around the arena, suplexing opponents all over the place. And with the fact that it managed to win several fights by overwhelming its opponents, putting them in positions that they couldn't self-right from, it's expertly driven and is quite possibly the greatest modern control bot that we've got going at the moment. And I'm almost certain that they'll still be a force in World Championship 8, so I feel it's just right that I put Claw Viper in my number 10 position. In number 9, it's Eruption! Now, I love flippers. It's another weapon type that I adore. Seeing robots get flung in the air is such a great sight to see. When everyone was complaining that the UK scene was just flipper bots, I was probably one of the few people that wasn't complaining because they're just so much fun to watch. And Eruption just seems like the best choice, in my opinion, to go from out of the huge variety that both the US and UK have. An incredibly solid design that can take a fair share of abuse from spinners, even if it wasn't necessarily designed to do so. It's pretty damn powerful, very well driven by the like of Michael Oates, and is again just a extremely solid robot. It is the total package in terms of flipper design, and honestly is one of the first robots that I think of when I think of that weapon type. Consistently entertaining, this robot is always a fun one to watch. In number 8, it's Foxic! Now, anyone who knows me knows that I love Foxic. It's a design that, while the robot never quite performed that well in the arena, it's a robot that visually just impresses. Externally, the robot is as tough as anything, being able to survive attacks from the likes of Last Rites. It's just internal problems that always seem to do them in the end. But to this day, I still huff that copium and would love to one day see a return for Foxic where it somehow manages to put it all together and really bring the fight to opponents. I also want to give a special mention to the other Team Dandy robots because I always love what this team is doing. From the likes of Slammo, who in its latest iteration is a great suplexing robot with pretty dang fast drive. Once again, this has a lot of potential to absolutely body opponents, much like in a similar fashion to Claw Viper when I think about it. And of course, the almighty Apex, which is now even more insane than ever before, not only with that gigantic bar spinner, but the legs that can pivot, allowing the spinner to change its angle, going from a horizontal to more of a diagonal spinner, as well as omni-wheel drive, meaning that the robot will be able to drift around. It's juggling a lot, but I just love the thought of what could happen if this all somehow works. It's a tall order that I would not wish on anyone, but if Team Danby can make it work, Apex is going to be a lot of fun. One other point to Foxic is that I inadvertently influenced their merchandise. There was once a giant robot poll on Facebook about which gigantic robot would win, you know, likes of Nightmare, Huge, Mammoth, and I came in saying free Fox6 in a trench coat. So when Foxic came as Foxtrot to Battlebots, they came out with merch, with a t-shirt with 3 Foxtrots in a trench coat, and Craig Danby even made it in real life with Foxic, Foxtrot, and Predator. Honestly, that is brilliant, and I think that also helps to make me even more fond of Foxic. In number 7 is Lucky. This is a robot that, when it works so well. It's such a unique design. The 4-bar launcher sends robots flying across the air. And like I said, when it works so dang well. In its more recent runs, it seems to be getting better and better. And of course, if you're like me, you have seen what can happen when this design reaches its potential, as I give a special mention to Ziggy. Ziggy is the super heavyweight predecessor to Lucky, and was so dominant in the super heavyweight, being able to take on pretty much anyone and everyone and send them flying. It didn't matter who it was taking on, Ziggy was such a powerful force, and occasionally we see those little sparks in Lucky, and it's so much fun to watch. Lucky definitely has its work cut out for it in a world full of such powerful spinners, but every time it competes, I'm always rooting for it. In number 6 is Beta, and a special mention to Terahertz. Another weapon type that I love but definitely has its work cut out for it is the Hammerbot. I've seen some great hammer and axe bots over time, and again, much like with the flipper thing, I was having a hard time picking which robot I really wanted to put in this list. But at the end of the day, every time I kept thinking about it, I would always come back to those classic John Reed designs with the strong, sturdy wedge at the front that meant that even some of the toughest horizontal spinners of nowadays can be absolutely deflected by these robots. Carbide, Tombstone, Bloodsport all end up cowering at the sight of this magnificent wedge. Not only that, but the hammer and the axe come crashing down with such enormous amounts of force. Seeing Beta back in form in World Championship 7 with that aggressive offense truly was special, and it reminded me why I love this design so much. While I certainly hope that they can eventually figure out a solid strategy at dealing with low to the ground verts and whatnot, I still love this robot nonetheless, and I almost always have a good time watching it swinging away in the battle box or terahertz in the Robot Wars arena. In number 5, it's Razor! Razor definitely feels like an overdone answer for a lot of people, but I can't help it. To be a truly great crusher really does seem to be like something that only ever comes once in a lifetime, it feels like. And Razor was one of those extremely rare instances. Coming in extremely early in Robot Combat's lifespan, appearing in Series 2 of Robot Wars, Razor proved to be quite a formidable robot, piercing through many of its opponents. Sure, Razor fought a lot of fodder, but the fact is, when you accumulate more wins than anyone else in Robot Wars, you have to give the robot its dues. It was more than capable of battling it out with some of the best in the sport. Razor was truly feared for a reason, as that piercing claw could seemingly break through anything. I remember that I was worried for them when they came back in Series 8 with Razor, and admittedly breathed a sigh of relief when it got eliminated early, because I do not want to see this pristine robot get destroyed by the modern spinners of today. If we want to see a crusher that's on the level of Razor, perhaps even beyond, that can take on modern robots, we need only look at number 4, Quantum! And I do genuinely mean, I believe that this robot goes beyond even the levels of Razor. Not only does it similarly have an extreme level of crushing power, even be able to pierce through some of the toughest armors of BattleBots' modern scene. You know, like AR-500, that is practically unbreakable, and yet Quantum made it look easy. It's taken on some of the toughest robots of all time, and it does so damn well at it. I could also lump Spectre into this, but as they're practically the same robot. And another thing that makes these robots so good is if the tooth gets knocked off, Quantum is far from done. With an incredibly robust drive system, Quantum becomes an incredible grabber robot, grabbing a hold of its opponent and driving them all around the arena. Quantum does definitely have its weak spots in its armor. Similar to Beta, if you get around that wedge, then things begin to fall apart. But as long as Quantum keeps its front to its opponents, it's surprisingly good, and is genuinely the best chance we have of seeing a Crusher win the Giant Nut. It may be unlikely, but it's never impossible, and I love seeing this thing in action. Every fight Quantum has is always extremely entertaining for me. In number 3 is Original Sin. Now, Original Sin may not always have the most bombastic fights. It's not going to have the kind of fights that you could put in a highlight reel a lot of the time. What Original Sin has is performance. What Original Sin has is results. I don't think I've ever seen a heavyweight robot that is more successful than Original Sin. With well over 80 wins, with too many championships to count, Original Sin is the closest thing that I've ever seen to what might be the perfect robot. Original Sin lasted for such a long time and was practically uncontested at the top. It's only in more recent times that robots have really actually been able to put Original Sin out of its misery, with the likes of Malice, for instance, taking it out. Until then, it seemed like nothing could truly beat Original Sin with its simple yet extremely effective wedge design. Once it adopted the strategy of having either the 3 wedgelets or the plow if it had a horizontal spinner to deal with, it achieved its peak in competitiveness, and apart from 1 or 2 years, would always place in the top 3. Honestly, with a legacy like that, I couldn't not pick it as my number 3 choice. I also got to give a special mention to free shipping, a robot that is far less competitive than Original Sin, but honestly, I don't mind, because once you get that incredible flamethrower from the minds behind Raging Scotsman, and as well as the incredible driving of Gary Jin, it takes a robot that realistically should be taken out in like 10 seconds and creates a robot that honestly puts up a decent fight, meaning that it's always entertaining, even as some of the more powerful Battlebots take it out. You'll rarely find a disappointing free shipping fight because of this. In number 2, it's Behemoth. I honestly considered putting Behemoth in number 1, and if it had more successful performances, I probably would have. But let me make this clear. This design that has been going on since 1998, I'm pretty sure, is an absolute classic design. It still competes to this day, and despite the fact that it is such an old design, it still shows some competitive edges against its opponents, winning a heat in Series 10. Behemoth is a fun design to watch. It may not be the most powerful, but with a robust drive system, that scoop being able to tip opponents over, in an arena where there's a pit available, Behemoth is more than capable of taking on a fair share of opponents. It's only once it goes up against the more high-power spinners that it seems to really struggle. So when it was up against the likes of Carbide, for instance, it did seem to have more issues. But even then, Behemoth is a great underdog. A robot that a lot of us knew for such a long time could be competitive if it managed to shake its bad luck. And whenever it does, Behemoth absolutely shows itself off with some really fun performances, and I am always rooting for Behemoth whenever I see it on TV, and whenever I catch those fights that get re-uploaded online. So, Behemoth nearly made the number 1 spot. But before we find out which robot did take that number 1 spot, let's do some quick honourable mentions. Prince of Darkness. Okay, I know I've gone on joking about how this is probably the best robot in Series 1, and that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I think over time, I have actually grown a fondness for this thing. Sure, Roadblock is a better robot. Sure, the likes of Barry probably would have won the entire thing had it managed to get past the gauntlet. But Prince of Darkness is a robot that, before the fight rounds, was actually really impressive to watch. Real Wars Series 1 and 2 definitely have some disadvantages having the non-combat rounds, but Prince of Darkness absolutely took advantage of those, and actually were quite fun. It didn't make the top 10 for the obvious reason. It's a Series 1 Robot Wars robot, so of course it wasn't going to make the top 10, but I still find it quite endearing nonetheless. The House Robots. Okay, I could make a top 10 list on House Robots alone, and I don't just mean in Robot Wars. The likes of NHRL, Robots Live, Extreme Robots, and so many more, the House Robots may be my favourite gimmick in robotic combat. These big, imposing machines that can bully the competitors is honestly such a fun thing to witness. But it didn't seem right to throw the likes of Matilda and Sir Killalot in amongst the mix, so they get the honourable mention. Chaos 2. This one was a tough one. Chaos 2 is definitely an iconic flipper design, and when it worked well, it really worked well. But I felt against the likes of Eruption and Claw Viper, it just barely missed the top 10. Hypnodisc. Hypnodisc was the powerful spinner of Robot Wars back in the day. A fun design that I do enjoy, there were just designs that I felt needed the top 10 spot more. And now for number 1, it's Minotaur! Minotaur is a robot that I feel is the complete package. It is extremely tough, incredibly powerful. The aggressive driving of Daniel Freitas completes this package. I love watching Minotaur compete. Minotaur ends up in these incredible battles every single time. Even if it's a fight that it's not gonna win, Minotaur goes in with everything it's got. It's awe-inspiring to watch as Minotaur tears its opponents apart or keeps on going even as it's getting torn apart. The death hum on it is iconic. The design, in my opinion, is oftentimes the gold standard for drum spinners, and it's only more recently that I feel like drums are really starting to keep up pace with it with the likes of Copperhead. The other thing that definitely helps Minotaur's placement at the number 1 spot, and on top of just the driving and how effective the robot generally is the special mention that I'm going to give to the Turo line. Watching Daniel Freitas drive Turo Light, Turo Classic, Turo, and Turo Maximus in Robogames was always a spectacle to see. The fact that Daniel Freitas drove 4 drum spinners at one event was honestly so fun to watch, and increased how endearing these robots are to me. I honestly love watching Minotaur get into the Battlebots, and I hope that someday Minotaur is able to secure that giant nut. And there you have it, that's my top 10 favourite robots. For now it's strictly heavyweight, though I definitely would like to do maybe some lists on other stuff, lists on like say featherweights, beetleweights, try to expand the list maybe somewhat. But as it stands right now, as I was thinking on it, these were 10 robots that I absolutely adore and really enjoy seeing time and time and time again. And I'm quite happy with the list as it stands currently. It's a variety of different weapon designs, it's a variety of different time zones and competitions, and honestly, these are all robots that I adore seeing. It was tough to make this list. There are definitely going to be robots that I will regret not adding to this list right after uploading it, but for now at least, I'm going to stick to my guns. If I ever do make an updated list, you should subscribe so that you can see that the moment it comes out. It won't be for a long while though, I want to stick to my guns with this one. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like on this video. Do you agree with any of the entries on this list? Or do you have your own special top 10? Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you can share this video around as well, that would mean so much to me. It would be great if this little birthday video of mine can get a nice healthy dose of views. It really will help out the channel a whole lot. And the biggest ways of helping out the channel is if you become a member or give a donation. Becoming a member by hitting that join button gives you access to custom emotes as well as members only videos. I'm trying to put out members only videos as often as I can, and there's a whole bunch that have come out recently, and I feel like a lot of you may enjoy them, so be sure to check them out if you want. But again, there's no pressure. Thank you so much for even just watching this video. I hope to see you all next time, and I hope that we can all continue to love this crazy sport together. Bye guys!